Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Tony Arnold McFarland, and we're going to have our session tonight. We talked about the matriculators in the past, and actually, I forgot that we started this once before, but we didn't get this far. So that was some stuff already set up, and a few people who have graduated are on the distribution list. There was already a distribution list, so we'll get that out to you. But I'm excited that we're finally going to kick this off. And a number of students have expressed interest. I know some of you may have homework. Get your homework done. Just listen. If you can't participate, you got to do your homework. Just put something in the chat so we'll know and you can go back and listen to the recording. But there's going to be some very valuable information coming out of what's going to transpire tonight and the sessions ahead, and what we actually kicked off kind of with a pre-launch in December on getting people ready for their career in their college. Two very important things that will impact your life, and how you are ready for that, meaning how well you are able to work responsibly, independently of your parents, how well you handle responsibility now, how you make decisions. We are going to talk about, the hardcore stuff like financial aid, choosing your major, exploring options, applying, the deadlines. But there are other things that are also important for just being ready for life that happen as you transition out of your parents' house to your own house. So at any rate, we'll get this going tonight. This is a part of our spring 2024 activities for NSBE Junior. I know there are a few people who are new to NSBE, so I'm just going to say a few things about that. And our very special, I won't say guest because she's home. So our very special facilitator, administrator for this program, Ms. Wendy Coleman Blue, is going to come in a moment. But the matriculators is for grades 9 through 12. If you are below grade 9, if you're in middle school, I'm proud of you. I'm glad you're here as well, because you are getting a head start. And I like it when the NSBE Junior students think beyond me. I'm thinking one thing and they're like, well, no, I want to do blah, blah. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. And this is our first session. It says 6 to 8, weather permitting. If we feel like we need to pull back because of what's happening in weather, we can do that. And our next session after tonight is going to be on January the 23rd. And Wendy, I'll let her introduce herself, but you know how you meet people in life and then you don't see them for a while, then you reconnect and it's like you never stop talking to them. It seems like you just made up for lost time. That's how it's been with Wendy and I, and I'll let her briefly introduce herself. I put a few things out there that I found about her. I don't even know if she saw this before I put it up here, but I'll let her take a few minutes to just say a little bit about herself.
Good evening, everyone. How are you today? So for some reason, I have feedback going on, and I don't know why.
Well, it sounds fine to us.
Oh God. Okay, so I gotta manage not going crazy while I'm listening to myself and twice. All right. With that being said, hold on a second. Let me switch. Hold on. Let me try something else.
And it might be that, maybe I need to mute everybody. It might just be a volume from our side.
I'm just gonna come off the headphones and go on the
computer.
Yeah.
Yes, I had to do as well. And also while Ms. Winnie's doing that, in the chat, if you have some technical difficulties at your house or you need to step away because of the weather, feel free to do so.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I think speakers are on it simultaneously. That's got to be what's going on. Hold on a second. Good gracious. Can you all still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, hold on. Let me change one more thing. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, there's no more feedback. Okay. when I couldn't hear you, I thought it was me initially, because I was like, well,
Okay.
maybe it's not the other people, maybe it's just me. So then I pulled my earbud out, and when I did, that's when I kept hearing feedback. Nonetheless, sorry about that, folks. So I am Wendy Coleman Blue. I have been connected in some shape, form, or fashion to NSBE for the last 37 years. I began as a freshman, unlike many of you all who are now starting as elementary school students or middle school students or high school students or high school age students. There was no NSBE Junior. It was no NSBE Junior when Dr. Tony and I first started undergraduate school. It was something that was formed after I had graduated from undergraduate. So I'm so excited that we've been able to do this. I've done it off and on for the last 20 plus years or so. Dr. Tony's been probably consistently doing it ever since she got involved with NSBE. But with that being said, I have an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering from Clemson University. I grew up in rural South Carolina, and knew nothing about engineering, had never seen a Black woman, had never met an engineer, had never met a woman engineer, but somebody in my high school had chosen Clemson and was majoring in engineering, and our profiles look very similar. And so literally that was my path. And I know you all may say, well, that doesn't sound very strategic. Well, quite often that's how many of us in my generation ended up going to major in engineering, because we didn't have the same opportunities that we're able to afford you all. And they just didn't exist. A lot of the camps didn't exist. And so a lot of us ended up in engineering by hook or by crook, and I am one of those people. Because of my interest in being able to impact more people that look like me, to go into that space. I worked as an engineer for a little bit for the state of South Carolina, and then had the opportunity to come work at NC State in the Minority Engineering Programming Office, of which at Clemson, we didn't get the first one of those until after my freshman year. So my sophomore year, the peer program started at Clemson, which is a program, part of their work is to do outreach and create exposures to engineering. But the other piece is to support students on campuses as they go through the journey of doing engineering. So a lot of the work we will be doing is making sure that for those of you who want to do engineering, because some of you may want to do other things, but for those of you who think you decide, okay, yeah, I think I want to try the engineering path as an initial start to college, when we will definitely be working to connect you with the people at the institutions at which you say you want to attend. I will say that if they don't have an MEP program or something of that sort, that's probably not the right place for you if it's a PWI. Now, the HBCUs will not have something called Minority Engineering Program because it is an HBCU. And so the supports look different at an HBCU. Nonetheless, came to work at NC State in the MEP program, did it for about 5 years, left, went and worked in corporate America, did a myriad of other things, and ended up back at NC State back in 2018, went to work in one of the departments. Oh, and when I was there, originally worked and did graduate work in industrial and systems engineering in the integrated manufacturing systems degree program. When I came back, got a healthcare engineering system certificate. When I came back in 2018, stayed for another 4 years, and now work for a college access nonprofit that focuses on getting young people that are first generation or low income students, working to get them to and through college. So a little bit about my background.
All right, thank you, Wendy, for sharing that. And just for those of you on the phone, on the Zoom tonight, if you don't mind, please put in the chat, how'd you find out about our program tonight? Say your name, how you heard about the program, and what you hope to get out of it. So if you don't mind, go ahead and drop that in the chat, your name, how you heard about the program, and what you hope to get out of it tonight.
Hey,
And we
Dr.
always do
Tony.
that.
Dr. Tony, are you okay with me turning on the AI companion so that we can also capture the summary?
Yes, go right ahead.
All right, I had to send a request for you to ask.
Enable it. Yep. Thank you for reminding us. Okay. And as people chime in, Wendy, take a look at the chat and see where we have people coming from, calling from. I know we have possibly students from Delaware, Charlotte, maybe South Carolina, I'm not sure, primarily Raleigh area, but wherever you are, if you want to say what city you're in, just tell us, let us know you're out there.
So we have someone who says they learned about it via email. So was this an email from Dr. Tony, an email from a friend? Who sent you the email, Ollie Hales?
And you can put your response in the chat or just come off of mute if you like and respond. All right, I'm going to keep moving forward. And if you want to continue to connect with them in the chat, Wendy, that's fine, because you all are going to get a chance to warm up here in a little bit. We're going to do an icebreaker, and then I want to have everybody complete a profile. It's really hard for us to plan effectively without really asking you questions like your grade, what you've done so far in your journey. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat. I'm going to need everybody in the program to complete a profile. I want you to do that tonight. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the readiness journey, understanding your status, a little bit of an overview of what we're going to be doing. And then also, how do you organize yourself? What are the things that you need to do to organize yourself for the matriculators? And then some announcements. Just real quick, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about NSBE, RTP NSBE Junior, as we're called. That stands for the Research Triangle Proteges. And this is not an image that I grabbed off of the internet. This is actually us in action. Sage is on the call, and maybe Daniel, that's them in this photo right here. I think they're probably on tonight. And this is an actual image of them at my job at John Deere, operating the table for an exhibit. And Sage is an eighth grader. I forget that she's only in 8th grade. And Daniel is, I believe he's 9th. He might be 10th. I might be wrong with that, but he's so mature. I often think that he's a year ahead of himself. But basically, when we go out in the community, our students are able to run the exhibit. They're able to talk about what they do. They're able to do that on our calls, and we want everybody here to engage. So what is NSBE about? So NSBE stands for the National Society of Black Engineers. It was established in 1975 at Purdue University. And there were other universities that were represented at that first meeting. Today, there's over 600 chapters, over 20,000 members internationally. And the mission is to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community. And that succeeding, who excel academically, that's the part we're going to be focusing on mainly with you all to help us increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers. So we're going to start there. And we'll talk about how we can help you do that. We'll talk about some of the other activities that are offered through NSBE. Just real quick, if you're not familiar with NSBE, there's multiple layers. K through 12 is called our pre-college. That's what you are part of, NSBE Junior. And NSBE will stay with you, I say, from kindergarten to career. College is where it was established as a college-led organization. So in college, and most of you will probably be interested in that, a NSBE chapter at a school will be a great place for you to establish friends and stay connected with your purpose of why you're at school, people to study with, help you navigate the campus, find your first job in your field, or either research on campus. And then when you graduate, there are professional chapters that help you get ready for leaving college, going into your career. So I say that NSBE is something that's going to be with you from K through career. Nationally, 3rd grade is where dues start, but in our local chapter, kindergartners can also start. So if you have siblings, you have cousins, friends who are also in K through 12, and you feel like they would benefit from being a member of RTP NSBE Junior, feel free to reach out to me. I won't dive too much into this because we're really focusing on the matriculators. You don't have to be a member to be in the matriculators, but I do encourage you to be one, because when we talk about scholarships, if you're not a member, you're not able to apply for some of the NSBE, all of the NSBE scholarships actually. Our chapter dues are $12 total, $5 for the national, $7 for local, and we have members, like I said, in multiple states. So what will you do as a matriculator? Here's just a list of some of the things that we're going to focus on, but the main thing is helping you establish a system on how to matriculate through high school and into college. And also, as we said, there's areas of your life that you're going to need some coaching on so that you can do your best in your career and in college. So helping you understand, those traits and characteristics that you might need to work on for yourself so that you can be best prepared for what will be ahead of you when you go into your career or go into college. Some of the things that have been most critical that we've recognized from students is just getting organized, having a process for that, meeting critical deadlines. One thing that you're going to understand about getting ready is their due dates, and you have to prepare effectively for that. So you have to know about them in advance, have them somewhere on a calendar or a place where everyone can see them, not just you, your parent, or whoever's helping you as an advocate, and being able to prepare effectively before those due dates occur. So that's going to be one critical thing. And then explore your options for college and your career. So we'll talk more in detail about all of these things. So what will you need? Access to the internet. Some things will be best done from a PC, not necessarily a cell phone. Most of the time you're going to need a computer that you have access to. Also, we have an Eventbrite page. It will have everything you need to know on it. So if you don't know what's going on, what to do, you can go out to the Matriculators Eventbrite page, which you use to register for tonight. And we will continuously update that page with links to all the information that we'll be sharing. Also, I need to have you complete that profile. We'll send that out to you shortly, and we'll take a few minutes in a moment for you to do that. We also want you to have a Gmail address that will be shared with your parents so that you both can stay abreast of important information. And then also just understand some basics of how to maneuver on Google, how to use Gmail, Google Drives, to-do list, the calendar. That will be the platform that we'll use. And there may be some suggested books, materials, and websites to help you further your knowledge on how to get ready for college. Did I leave out anything, Wendy? Okay. All right. I think we want to go ahead and do the icebreaker, then we'll come back and do the profile, because there might be a few more people who want to join who are not in yet. So Wendy, I'll turn it over to you to explain the icebreaker, and I do have some breakout rooms already set up.
Great, thank you, Dr. Tony. So for the breakouts, what we're going to do is we're going to have the parents and the adults, they will go into one breakout room, and the young people, those folks 18 and under, will go into a breakout room. And let's see, how many students do we have?
Let me take a look at let me take a look real quick. All right, let me see here. And if I'm misrepresenting someone, let me know. Now, Ashley Hales, are you a parent, a student?
Parent.
Parent, okay. All right. So let me see, Anika, Ashley. Share. Canaria Brevard. I'm not familiar with Canaria. Are you a parent or student?
I'm a student.
Student, okay. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 parents, and the rest are students. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 students.
All right, so how many breakout rooms did you create, Dr. Tony? Because we need the students to do 4 and 4.
Oh, okay. I created 3 and I can also add another one if needed.
Okay, no, I think that's
enough?
good. So we need, let's see, did you name them students and parents?
I just got a 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna let 1 and 2, we wanna let students go to 1 and 2, and parents will go to 3, or adults will go to 3. And here's the work of what will happen in the 5 things in common. You literally are going to work on finding 5 things that everybody in the group has in common. Things that, now there may be some other things that I missed that we should take off the table, but because I didn't capture them, if you get some that are easy, then that's great. What you can't do is say, oh, everybody in here is female, everybody in here is Black, everybody in here is a NSBE junior member. Those are things you can't say, but anything else that everybody in that room has in common can become a part of the 5 things you have in common. It generally is much harder than people realize that it is. Any clarification on the assignment? And part of the reason we're doing the icebreaker is as we take this journey together in this matriculators community, in this NSBE junior community, we want to get to know each other so that we can support each other, so that we can help each other. So for instance, one of the things that I am a connector. I connect people to resources, I connect them to relationships, I connect them to information and knowledge. And one of the reasons I'm able to do that at a high level, that's one of the reasons it's one of my superpowers, is because I learn lots of things about people. And when I know the thing about a person, even if it can't benefit me, I don't mind passing it on or sharing it with people that it can benefit. And so part of the reason that we are doing this is so that you get to know each other. And so when you come across information that might not help you, but can help somebody else in this village, then we want you to always be willing to share. Are there any questions? All right, well, with that being said, we're going to ask all the students to go to rooms 1 or 2, break yourselves up evenly. And the parents, we're asking you to do the same exercise so that you can support each other as well and support Dr. Tony and myself and any of the other volunteers that are in the space. We're going to ask you to go to the 3rd breakout room and do 5 things in common as well. Oh, and one of yours can't be that you're a parent. So y'all got to take that one off the table.
All right.
Hey, look,
how do we go?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, how do we go to the breakout rooms?
You should see a function at the bottom that says breakout room.
It should allow you to join a breakout room. In the lower right corner, it may say more.
More. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, there we
that.
go. Okay.
And somebody might want to take a picture of the screen so that when you get over there, you remember what you cannot use.
And I said,
Oh.
yeah, and I didn't capture the one for parents until just now, but it's like, I know that I would lean into that just because, hey, I'm trying to make it easier.
How long, Wendy?
We're gonna start with 5 minutes.
Okay. All right.
So at 6:35, we're gonna ask everybody to be back. So that might not be an exact 5 minutes. But
Right. We can shut the rooms down.
Yeah.
All right. I'll be able to see where everybody is. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing.
I'm just gonna kind of hop around to the rooms to see what kind of activity we have.
All right. And make sure everybody is assigned. Kathy's iPad.
Hi, I'm sorry. I guess I could have talked instead of typed. I was going to
Okay.
put my son on here,
Sure.
and but I don't see the option
I'll put him in room 2, okay?
to, and then I'm going to join from my phone for the other one for
All right. What's your son's name?
Miles.
All right. Hey, Miles. I'm going to put you in room 2, okay?
That's okay. And then I'm going to join from my phone.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm going to put you in 3. All right, I got the
All right,
recording
so
on.
we're
Go
gonna
ahead.
start with group 1. Somebody who's the representative for group 1? Whoever's speaking, please turn your camera on while you're talking to us. And tell us what your 5 things in common were for group 1.
Can you hear me?
We can. Now, can we see you?
Absolutely. Okay. So we were group 1. We had like at some point like 4 to 5 people in the group. So we started asking questions just to find some things that we have in common with each other. So the first question was about what do we think we want to major in, or like what are we interested when we get into college. So one person said data science, one person said robotics engineering, another said biomedical engineering, and another said business and animals. So we kind of concluded that they all kind of fall under like a STEM field type of thing. Even business, whether it has to like whether it deals with finance or entrepreneurship, they all kind of fall under that umbrella.
I'm gonna give y'all a pass. Y'all made that thing way too hard. It was supposed to be a singular thing y'all had.
It was. Yeah, we were trying to come up
hard.
with questions. It was interesting though. We had a good discussion towards the end too. Our second question was, what's our favorite subject in school? 2 said math, 1 said science, and then another said history. So I guess, I don't know what that has to have in common with each other. 2 people said math and they're all subjects in school. So I guess, the third question was, what schools are you interested in applying to if you haven't already applied? And then if you have, what schools have you gone into, or what schools are you interested in going to? So we had a huge mix. We had MIT, Georgia Tech, Morehouse, A&T, High Point, Howard, Columbia, and some more. I didn't get to record some of these colleges the students were already accepted into. Some of them are like dream schools, some of them are schools that we're interested in. And then for our fourth question we had was, what is our favorite color? So we had in common, we had green, black, but the outliers were purple and pink, I believe. The fifth question was, does anyone in the breakout room watch anime? I know I personally don't, but I learned about different animes that I've never heard of before. So we have Hunter x Hunter, something called MHA, and then another one called Captain P-Pop. I think that's what was said. I'm not sure if I'm getting that wrong. Sorry if I am. And then for the last question we had, it was about scholarships. At this point, we kind of just started discussing scholarships because we had some younger participants and then we had some older participants like seniors who had already had experience in applying for and receiving scholarships. So when I heard that, I asked a question like, how did you get started? What was it like? And what would you recommend? So some scholarships that were mentioned were the Jack Can Coke Foundation. There's a Burger King scholarship. There's certain scholarships that you don't have to submit an essay with. There are niche scholarships, and then there were some I believe websites mentioned where you can get started in applying and looking for scholarships. So that's pretty much sums up our little icebreaker.
All right, group 2. Let's see if you all actually followed the instructions and found 5 sets of one thing y'all had in common, or if y'all had a robust conversation like group 1. Caden, what you got?
One thing, the first question we asked was, where do we live? Because most of us, like y'all said, we live on the Atlantic coast, while we do have some people from different states. So we have found that we all live in North Carolina in different parts of the region. Our second question was, do we play sports, or what sports do you play? And we found that a lot of people have played track, football, and basketball. Our third question is, what is your hobbies? And we found that everybody liked to either code or do something that involved or dealing with coding. Me personally, I went to the coding class that y'all had 2 years ago. So I still remember a little bit. Our fourth one was what was our least favorite or most favorite subject. And we found out that it was really skewed. Some people liked science, some people didn't. Some people liked DLA, and some people didn't as well. Those are the main two that we found that people didn't really like or attracted to. Our fourth one was we all had at least one pet, either they deceased, we something happened to it, or we still have it. Some people had dogs and cats, and which is usually the most two that you have. Our fifth one is musical instruments. We found that most people have played stuff in band, and some people have played stuff in orchestra or other groups' instruments. Our fifth one is do you like cooking and baking? Which we found that everybody likes cooking and baking, either different things as in stuff that are simple or stuff that might take a decent bit of time. Uh, and our last one is that kind of builds off of what our sixth one is. If you do cook, what is your favorite food or what is your favorite food to eat? Most of us choose something that was not vegan. So our last one was at least none of us are vegan. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, let's see if the parents followed the instructions completely and pick 5 singular things they have in common. I know the first one, whoever's the spokesperson, whoever's the adult spokesperson, please come on camera. But I know your first one was everybody said they like tacos.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, the first one, yeah, everybody likes tacos in our group. The other thing is everybody has a subscription, either legally or, have acquired Netflix. Everybody currently resides in North Carolina. Everybody has seen at least one movie in the last month, and we are all proficient in Microsoft Word. And that's it.
Yay! And thank you all for indulging us and you all working together to come up with things you had in common. Dr. Tony?
Awesome. So Wendy, I don't know, I want to capture that information. Should I tell you what, I can drop my email in the chat unless you have some notes on it. I just wanted to capture the results. Should I grab it?
The parent notes were way easier than group 1 and group 2 notes. So I got half behind notes on group 1 and 2. So you probably need to have them drop in the chat the information they shared.
I grab it from Kate and Any Money. And they're NSBE Virginia members too, by the way. I didn't even recognize that was Caden. His voice has changed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Caden.
He getting grown man voice.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to hop back into our presentation real quick. That's just a little, I capture all kind of notes and screenshots during these sessions because sometimes people ask us what we are doing and how we're helping the community. So I just capture live things. We're going to talk about as a matter of fact, I want to do the profile next. Let me get the profile, and then we're going to talk about the 6E journey. So let me drop the link in the chat real quick for the profile. I'm going to stop sharing. And basically, the profile is going to help us understand who is a part of the group, who's a part of this cohort. It's going to be very important so we'll know how to plan. We really need to know where you are in your journey. Let me grab that real quick. I'm just going to take you over to our Eventbrite page. You all should have gone to the Eventbrite page to join. It might have been full, so you might not have got in. But basically, I'm going to drop this link. This is the page that's going to be like our landing page the whole time that we are working together over the next few months. And what we'll do on this page is I'll update it with information after our sessions. So just so you can see, it talks about us, what has already occurred. If you missed something and you want to figure out how do I get caught up, you just go out here to this page. I'll drop this link in the chat. I'll email it out. And also right here is the participant profile form. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to grab this and put it in the chat. And if you've already filled it out, you don't need to fill it out again. But only need the students and parents. If you want to help the student fill it out, you can. But we really want to make sure we have this. And let's just take a few minutes to have you complete it. So I put the link in the chat. If you haven't done it, you can do it tonight. It should take you no more than like maybe 5 minutes to fill that out. And I'll give you some time right now to do that. We ask questions about, first, we just need your grade. What are you interested in? What have you already explored? That's going to help us understand how to design some of the sessions. If we recognize a common interest in certain areas, then we want to make sure that we can bring programming and activities and know what you are interested in. Like if we find out about things outside of our sessions that you might want to do, we want to, make you aware. As an example, Astronomy Week is the last week of January. If there's anybody interested in aerospace, you might want to participate in some of the activities of Astronomy Week because there may be some touch points with that. And then there's different types of specific discipline weeks that happen throughout the year that most people don't even know about. In December was Computer Science Week. A lot of people don't even know that even exists. So that's why we had something, we had an hour of code session during that time. And we also have different interest groups that do activities based on what people are interested in. So take a few minutes and fill that out, and I'll be able to see live how that's coming. We can check everything with data. So let me just refresh and see if I see the responses going up. Only 4 people had filled it out. So I'm hoping that I'm going to see that number at least go up by maybe 4 or 5. I can actually see who's filled it out already too. Let me see. And parents, I'll let you see what this looks like so you can, let me share my screen so you all can see what the questions are. Grade, of course, gender, high school, post-high school goals. It doesn't have to be just, do your best. You don't have to, if you're not sure, just say you're not sure. It's okay. Whether or not you're interested in what you need help with. Like, what things do you need help with in your college readiness, in your career planning? What do you have feelings about?
We're just trying to gather enough information to help us be as helpful for facilitating this journey for you as we possibly can. So if you can give us enough information for us to at least get in the right ballpark, then we will do all the things we can to help equip you in the best ways that we can.
Right. So if you're on the call and you haven't filled this out and you are in the process of filling it out, just drop something in the chat and just say, working on it. Because I want to make sure we get this. It's going to really help us get ready. We want to know what kind of schools you're thinking about. HBCU, non-HBCU, small, large, don't know.
And if you're not thinking about school, but you are thinking about some type of trade, or you're looking at trying to be an entrepreneur of some sort, or you're thinking about the military, all of those are reasonable and credible options for however you decide you want to start your professional journey. You're going to work longer than you're going to do almost anything else in your life. And so you might as well make it be as much of what you would like for it to be as possible.
Yep. And also, I tell students, you probably work for 25, 30 years. You'll have time to do multiple things. So don't get a lot of anxiety over, splitting hairs on a few things, because you'll have time to do multiple things, and there'll be maybe some stuff that doesn't even exist yet that you're going to want to do.
Let's tell the truth, Tony. We the last group that's probably going to only get to work for maybe 30 years. And a lot of us think we're going to have to work longer. These papers going to work longer than 30 years. It's a function of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And do you position yourself in such a way that you get to control how you work? And if you having to work for somebody, or if you're working for yourself.
Right. Yep. a lot of the students that I'm in touch with now in college, I've met a number of students that have companies already. They're going to college with their own LLC, or they're establishing that. Like some of the colleges offer programs for like an entrepreneurship village. So definitely encourage people to think about multiple streams of income. And if
We
you're
don't
already
encourage you, we're
innovating,
telling you, you're not gonna be able to eat if you don't have multiple streams of income. You're not gonna be able to buy your first home without multiple streams of income. The
right,
generation of being able to do it without it is
it's
probably.
going. All right, let me see how that's coming. Awesome, you guys are doing great. That number is going up.
Oh,
I'll ask, hey, Dr. Tony, can you send the link again?
Sure.
We lost our internet for a minute.
Okay, no problem.
I got it, Dr. Tony.
Okay.
Thanks.
And also students, it's okay to change your mind. This is what this is about. Like, if you put something down and like later you decide, hey, by the end of April, I found something else, that's fine.
That's why we're gonna lean into talking about these 6 E's.
Also, I understand the weather. If for some reason you feel like, oh, I'm not safe on the phone anymore, you can reach out to us later. We want you to put your safety first. And I also invited a few college students they're already in college, but I felt like this would be beneficial for them. So if you have friends, whether they're in high school or first year college students perhaps, or maybe they're not in school, and you think this information will be beneficial, feel free to invite them to the next session. And in advance, we want to get them up to speed as well. All right, let me see where we are, and then we can, okay, we are at 9. So with that, I'm going to go on. Great job. You keep working on it if you're still working on it. Appreciate that. With that, we're gonna go ahead to the next item. Hopefully I did not. There we go. Let me put it on full. And Wendy's gonna talk about your 6E journey.
So Dr. Tony kind of talked about or covered some of the things that are going to connect or be the connective tissue between these 6 E's. The reality is generationally, you all only want to be able to do the things that you want to do and the things that make you happy. Now, the reality is some of us have been those people, and some of us were even able to marry the thing that we wanted to do professionally with the thing that made our hearts happy. But we didn't plan it. It actually just happened that way. For you all, because you like to be, you believe that you should be happy and be able to do the things that you want to do, you're going to have to be more intentional on this journey. And so part of the work that we are doing is helping you to be more strategic in accomplishing that. So there are 6 E's, you can read them for yourselves, but I will kind of give you just a highlight of what my thought process is behind the 6 E's. Engagement. It's about encouraging conversations about your interest. I've had the occasion to talk to young people in the last 5 years or so, and I'll ask them what they're interested in or what they like to do. And so often I just get stares. People look dumbfounded, like, you want me to know what I like? Well, yes, the only person that's going to be able to tell us the things that you like to do, the things that you have interest in, are you. You're going to be able to tell us that better than anybody else. If parents start telling me that for a young person, I go, I want to hear from your young person what it is they like to do. Part of it is you're going to have to learn how to use language to communicate the things that make you happy, the things that you have interest in, the things that matter to you. How do you want to impact the world? What is your why? And so part of this time will be us engaging with you and having you fill out things to understand who it is you believe yourself to be and who it is you're trying and what is the journey that you think you want to take. Exposure. The exposure piece is about connecting you to a variety of options. Some of you are going to show up and you're going to say, I don't know. Some of you are going to show up and you're going to put one thing, but you really want to do 5 different things, or you have interest in 5 different things. And and on this journey, we're going to try to help you figure out how to find the connective tissue, how to find the opportunities, how to find the intersectionality or the interdisciplinary options that exist for you that will allow you to do as many or as few of those things as you like, and to help you figure out how to marry the thing that you believe your purpose for, your why in life. Figure out, is there a way for me to marry my why to how I feed myself? Now, for some people, they won't necessarily initially be able to figure out how to connect their vocation to their avocation. But for those who are exceptionally blessed, if you can figure out how to marry what makes your heart happy with how you're going to feed yourself, then it makes getting up, going to a job or doing work so much easier, because it doesn't feel like work, because it's what naturally makes you happy. We're going to work to equip you. In our equipping of you, what we're doing is we're sharing with you experiences you should explore. In other words, what kind of camp should you be going to? What kinds of conversations should you be having? We will facilitate conversations. If you say that you want to do data analytics in the sports space and you don't know anybody that does, we will look to see if either we have access to people that do that, or if we know people that do those things. For one of my children, they both are doing graphic design, but one of them has pretty much been consistent that she wants to do graphic design in an entertainment or sports space, that she would like to do motion graphics in a sports space. So because I knew that, when I go out on LinkedIn or the internet, I look for, kind of code words and keywords. I was able to find the staff listing for the Charlotte Hornets. And in there, I was able to identify that the senior graphic designer at the time was a Black man. Well, I saw the roster of or the staff directory. Well, I saw somebody in the staff directory that I knew. So I reached out. I was going to send a cold message to the individual, hoping that because I was talking about my young Black daughter who wanted to do the same thing, that person would have a heart to do some mentoring or creating some shadowing opportunity. But I didn't know that was going to happen for certain. But when I found somebody that I knew that worked in the same department, then it made it easier. I reached out to that person. They contacted them. They said yes. I took my child, and so before she ever stepped foot on a college campus, she had shadowed the senior graphic designer at the Charlotte Hornets because her mama equipped her with an opportunity. Well, any of the camps that you go to, any of the opportunities, even if it's an opportunity that doesn't seem like it's in line with what you think your career path is, if you get an opportunity to do a really cool thing, like to be a page or to be a congressional aide, it doesn't have to necessarily directly line up with what you say your profession is that you desire, but it's an opportunity that opens doors and opens access and opens your mind, that we want to equip you to be able to take advantage of all of the opportunities that you possibly could. Exploration. Our goal in there is to help you see the connections between all of the things. So for instance, if I like mathematics, or I think I might want to do analytics, well, what are the different majors that I could explore to see which one is more in line with the things that I think I might want to do? I have a friend from Clemson. His daughter wants to be a coach. Well, if you want to be a coach, you don't really have to go pick the hardest major on campus. You really can make part of your life easy. If you want to be a coach, you should major in PE and then figure out what are some other exceptional experiences I can pair with this degree that make me stand out differently than other people. Our job is to help you explore what are the things I can marry, what are the things that I can pair. What are the minors I could put with a major that would give me opportunities to do as many of the things that I think my heart wants to do? The empowerment is facilitating connections for you on your journey, to connect with the career path, to connect with people that are in that space. Remember when I talked to you about never having seen a Black engineer or an engineer period? Well, Dr. Tony and I both have those stories. For her, she was actually looking at her cousin that was on an engineering student path, but we didn't know any engineers. We didn't know people that worked for, so I was able to facilitate a space for my daughter to get connected to somebody who was a Black person who was doing the very thing that she says she wants to do. Well, part of this journey is about us helping to empower you to be able to see what you want to be able to have access to spaces that many of the adults on this call might not have had at the same age as you are. And then most importantly is to help you envision. Our job is to challenge you to be open to more than you can dream. Some of you say, oh, I want to be an electrical engineer. Okay, well, what does that mean? And are you open to how that might unfold? Sometimes we have dream schools. Well, that might be an okay thing, but if your dream school doesn't allow you to align all of your interests, that might not be the place for you. What matters to you more, that you go to that dream school or that your opportunities are in alignment with the career that you desire and the purpose that you believe you have that has been assigned to you? The purpose is your why of life. The why of your life is your purpose. Why are you here? What are you supposed to accomplish? What are the systems you're supposed to innovate, disrupt, or improve? That is the journey that we plan to take you on with the 6E journey in connecting you to career and purpose. Any questions? I almost fear to ask that, but.
Any questions from anyone? Parents or students? And as you think of them, you can feel free to put them in the chat as we move forward. We're going to drop a lot of nuggets too, as they come in our minds. As she was talking about dream schools, I thought about a nugget, but I said, no, I'm going to say it because I don't want to get people off track. But the first thing I want to do is actually, let me take a look at that real quick as you think about your questions. I just want to know how many seniors we have, because this is very time sensitive for you. And I just want to make sure the seniors, they get enough time to get everything in. All right, so I'm going to just share the screen. So this is real time a little bit here of who we have in this cohort. You won't see the names per se, but looks like we have mostly 11th graders. Yep, mostly 11th graders. And then we have some seniors in 10th grade. So basically, if you are a senior, mostly female, okay.
And ninth graders, make sure you're telling your friends about this experience. Ninth graders, we shouldn't be waiting till we're in 10th and 11th grade. I know a lot of time, I don't know why we still giving that raggedy advice about no, because your ability to explore, your ability to engage with more possibilities to help you inform your decision. Y'all shouldn't be making the decision to follow your friend to college like I did at this juncture. Y'all got too much information. You got too much support. Your decision should be way more informed than the ones that Dr. Tony and probably I won't speak for the other adults. I can speak for Dr. Tony and I, because I know how we got to our places. They ain't had no whole lot of strategy.
Right, it's
But
about hook or crook.
maybe the other adults had more strategy than we did. But what we do know is we want to equip you. We want to give you the tools to be to make informed decisions about your journey. The earlier you start, if you know middle schoolers that you think are mature and ready for the journey, the longer amount of time they can spend with us, the better equipped they should be able to be when they are making this decision.
All right. One thing I want to mention about what I'm seeing on the post-high school goals, I see quite a few people interested in four-year college. I do see some talking about the gap year. Let me say this about the gap year. Know what you want to do with that gap year, and also be cautious about learning loss. I do know some students that did a gap year. If you haven't been studying or taking a class, or you haven't used calculus in a while and you're interested in going into, especially a major where you're going to need to build off of that, you may lose some of your what you've learned over a year if you're not using it. So just we need to probably talk about those specifically and making sure that's something productive. All right, quite a few people want scholarship information. Great. Yep, a little bit of the gamut there. Schools are going back to, some are going back to looking at the SAT, ACT. So we do plan to have some prep sessions or be able to direct you on some resources for that.
I didn't see any community college selections up there. Ladies and gents, understand that if you're not coming out of high school killing it, if you just like in the middle of the pack, you have the opportunity to go to community college, kill it over there, and then get scholarship money to get to the four-year institution. If your grades are good enough for the community college per se, you might be able to get full ride, even if you're not eligible for financial aid because your parents make too much. You might be eligible for scholarships at the community college. You may be able to take less classes because you've already taken some community college because you're dual enrolled or doing some of the many programs that the state of North Carolina, South Carolina, some of the other states offer you. If you do community college like a Wake Tech, Durham Tech, I think Guilford Tech, a lot of them, once you complete that first semester and do well, then you automatically get admission into A&T, NC State, NCCU. You get automatic admissions if you do well in that first semester and in that first year. And if you already brought credits in from high school, then you may not even have to be there a year. And you got good grades that will get you money now coming into the four-year institution. There is nothing wrong with community college. And when you say, oh, I want the college experience, because I used to hear my two whine about some college experience, tell me what that is. Because y'all ain't had it. I know you don't really know what it is. And it ain't gonna be worth the amount of money it's gonna cost you if you can do it a different way. So please, 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 when I talk to you about envision the possibilities of not starting out in a boatload of debt. There are some students who are going to think they're going to be able to be competitive for the money at the four-year institution, and they're not. And then they get to think, well, I got good, yeah, but you didn't have grades good enough as some other people. So, but then you decide to get in a boatload of debt when you could have done a less expensive experience by doing community college the first year and a half. You could have done that, not been in all of the debt that you might end up being just because you wanted to have. Is that college experience worth 20 grand? I'm just saying.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, I don't know if it's still happening, but at one time, Wake Tech was offering free tuition if you wanted to study cybersecurity coming out of high school. I don't know if that's still the case, but don't underestimate the community college experience. Non-traditional college paths are on the rise. We're seeing it in the workplace. Even some people not even going to college. I don't want to have parents shoot me text messages, but I will say there are some options where students are doing an apprenticeship program. Then once they get into a corporation with that from high school, the company is paying for them to go to school. So there's some other ways that people are going to college now. The traditional path of graduate, drop me off in August, and I paid $30,000, $40,000, $80,000 a year for 4 years. There are other options to that there are other options to that. We're just saying explore those options and be aware of what they are.
Because that's cost prohibitive. And if you choose that path, many of you are going to be back at home living with your parents, of which you don't want, and some of them don't want either. And if you can take a less expensive path and still make a good amount of money to have a decent living, then you want to explore. In other words, we're trying to help engage you, expose you, equip you, help you explore so that you can be empowered to develop a vision that works for you.
Awesome. All right. I know we've said a lot, so I'm going to pause. Are there any questions, parents or students? And then we'll dive back into a couple of slides and then we'll wrap up.
Ms. Winstead, you came off.
I did. So I had a quick question for you. So for your twins, when they went to vocational school, did they live with you or did they live close by? One thing I like about the college experience, you can live on campus, get up and walk to class. So
You mean that's one of the things you like about the 4-year experience?
yeah, the 4-year. Yeah. And that was my experience. It was better for me living on campus. When I had to move off campus, it was a lot harder for me to get to school. I made it, but living on campus and being able just to walk to that class or wherever, that was better for me.
Now, definitely it depends. Well, you say that's better for you, but then if you went to school and I did, then it was probably less expensive also. When you factor in the expense of the 4-year institution now, you probably can get a vehicle for less than it costs a year. So if you are able to, if you're a young person or you're a parent that's able to help your child have a vehicle, then that makes it a whole lot easier. But
Did your kids?
So my two had a whole different journey. As a part of our community college agreement, they said, well, we want to do community college, but we still don't want to be around here with everybody else. My brother lived in Grand Prairie, which is west of Dallas. So we had a more expensive community college experience because they were out of state. But it still was not doing local 4-year institution. So my two did, and their first year was when COVID. So they went 2019. Well, they were finishing in COVID. So the first year they were in Texas. Well, they did not have an automobile. They had to learn how to negotiate public transportation and Grand Prairie was just tangential to the train line in Dallas. So they caught a lift to the train line, and then they caught the train line and had to learn how to negotiate that space. And so a lot of stuff that they thought was easier than it was because they were away from me still, and they had to learn how to negotiate something they had never done before. They had a great amount of learning in that first year where they had a much greater appreciation when they came back home and did that next year sitting in the house. Because of COVID. And I also knew that my two were not, from a maturity perspective of how they negotiate the world, they were always much more mature than their peers. But from an academic maturation, I knew early on that from an academic maturation perspective in elementary school that my two were not going to be ready. And after they finished the first semester, one of them said, I am so glad that you kept talking to us about community college, because they watched their friends go that first semester, not even knowing what they wanted to do, and then not getting good grades and having all of those things. She was like, oh, I don't know what this would have been like if we'd have gone to a 4-year out of the gate, because it just wouldn't have been good. So I'm so happy. And that's what my child said to me after her first semester of community college, because they were watching their friends. The other thing we had an advantage of, they did a digital career. So for those of you who are in the 9th grade or 8th grade, if you have the opportunity to participate in career academies at your high school, that is going to make a world of difference if you are figuring out some of it, because you're having exposures and opportunities that are attached to your high school journey. My two did the Digital Career Academy at Millbrook High School. So in addition to us knowing community college was going to be the path, they had already begun a journey early on in high school that helped them solidify that graphic design was the path that they wanted to take, or something in the media arts was the path that they wanted to take. So they had some advantages in preparation.
All right, thank you.
All right. For the sake of time, if you have some other questions, go ahead and pop those in the chat. A few people are asking a few questions. So I'll just say this real quick because some of you may have to drop. This is not going to be the only session. We're going to be meeting twice a month. Our next session in January is going to be January the 23rd, same time, 6 o'clock. Then in February, we're going to kick off another program called ACE Tutoring. And during the ACE tutoring sessions, we'll offer some time to follow up on some of the things that we're talking about. If your student needs help with a rec letter or an application or something like that, you'll be able to do that during ACE tutoring and get some help with a subject if you need that as well. That will be starting in February. The tutoring will be twice a week. I'm going to send this out to you tonight. So we'll make sure that if you're on the call and you didn't go through the proper registration channel, that I do have your email address so I can send this out. But I'll send that out. Your next session after tonight will be January 23rd to fully focus on the matriculators. And then we will have 2 sessions like this each month that are going to provide you with more nuggets on your journey. During that, though, every week, that will be an opportunity for your student to come get help or do some type of activity on that journey. Be that doing rec letters, having a plan and a calendar. We want to make sure you have a calendar, your important dates. If you are a senior, hopefully you already know where you're going, because at this point, the options are going to get slimmer if you have not already applied. And then also, if the schools of interest might want you to take an SAT or ACT and you are a senior, you don't have that many opportunities left to take that. So if anybody is a senior and they are kind of in an urgency state, please shoot us an email, because we probably need to talk again this week to just really, do a little triaging on what's going to work best for you. So let me put my email address, and also we'll put I'm gonna put Wendy's address in here. I'll let her put her address in there. Right. If you are in
Look, I'm still learning it. Is it nsbe.org or is it RTP NSBE?
NSBERTP.org. Yeah, matriculators, NSBERTP.org. Yes. Okay. Says you need approval. So let me make sure everybody can. Let me go. Thank you, Sage. 8th grader on top of it. Let me make sure you all can get into that slide for the bios. Hold on one second. And as I do this, let me see. All right, try it again, Sage. Anyone with the link should be able to get in there now. It's a lot of information, but we don't want you to get overwhelmed. And basically for seniors, I want to make sure you're not missing key deadlines. I do have one other quick thing and some announcements. And then I want to mention another time sensitive item, which is summer programs. We talked about that. Now is the time to apply. If you are planning on going to college, you're going to need these programs to help you with your application. So if you're an 8th grader, 9th grader, what you do in the summertime or what you do as extracurricular, those things help you build an application for scholarships in college. So the time to find those programs is now, because for one, they're gonna fill up even if the deadline has not passed. And a lot of times the Black parents have missed the deadline, it's the deadline hasn't passed, but it's full. So there's a lot of programs that we're not taking advantage of because the money is gone, and some of them are free. So we want to make sure we are finding programs and plans for the summertime. And that's it. And then I think it was one other deadline. I think that's it. Making sure you have programs, planning for the summer. That's very important right now. And seniors, if you are a senior, we just need to make sure you have done the things that are critical to getting into school, SAT, rec letters, financial aid. Like those are key things for you.
And if you haven't, for us to figure out what the strategy is going forward.
All right. All
all
right,
is not lost if you have not done the things, or if you're still on the fence, or you're not sure.
Right.
You know, part of it is you need a strategy.
right. You need a strategy. So the sooner we can get to that, the better. All right. So real quick, I'm going to ask Imani if she would talk about these books. Imani was on earlier speaking. She's a vice president of our NSBE Virginia chapter. Imani, just pop on and introduce yourself, and then say a little bit about these books, because I want you all to be equipped with everything. And these books are 2 books that she's been reading in her career planning. And you may be on mute, Imani.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So on one of our last meetings, I won a sort of like small challenge, and I was mailed these 2 books on careers. This one is called Careers. I don't know if you can see it because of the blur. And this one's Career Planning for Teens. This one book really outlines and goes into detail on many different careers and different fields, spanning from science with marine biology, the medical field with registered nursing. It really goes into depth with a lot of things you would want to know as a teen. For an example, with the lawyer page, it talks about the job description, salary, career paths, education, and even talks about the realities of the job, the position that you may not get when you research the job, or if you speak to somebody from a company with job opportunities, they may not tell you the negative things that are associated with that position. And it talks about even those in that book. But then there's this book called Career Planning for Teens, which I would highly, highly, highly recommend for really anyone, not just for teens, but anyone looking to, it really outlines step-by-step everything you would want to know, everything you would want to talk about, look into when it comes to career planning. First, it talks about even something that Miss Wendy Coleman touched on, which was finding out your interests, your passions. It talks about your values at the beginning of the book. That's one of the first things it touches on, to figure out what you really like, what you kind of want to go into. And then it talks about self-assessment. It steps into discussions to have with your parents, your teachers, as well as counselors at your school, to really open up a conversation about, okay, what do I want to do? What should I venture into after my high school education? I know, at least at my school, we only have 2 counselors covering the entire high school. So if you want to meet with your counselor, like I've messaged my counselor twice this week, and I haven't really gotten a message back. So I wanted to meet with her, and it can be difficult for counselors to meet with everyone in the high school. A lot of times they have a huge workload, so you don't always feel like you're getting the help or support you need when it comes to figuring out, okay, what am I gonna do? There may be a lot of uncertainty, or SAT prep. I have SATs coming up, but this book helps kind of ease that pressure. It talks about the 16 like categories, main categories of professions that you can look into. They range from STEM, any STEM career, like the medical field. They go into information technology, IT. But specifically, the section that I'm on right now is talking about career fairs. It mentions how it is pretty much essential to attend career fairs as a high school student, even a college student, to really open yourself up to companies. Like, you're going to be in a position one day after you graduate from college, even if you're still in college, and they have booths set up. I've been to a couple career fairs so far. They'll have booths set up with representatives and or recruiters from that company. And it also lists questions that you should come prepared with to ask those people. It's something called an informal interview. It includes questions like education required to be able to fill out a position, skills required, salary range. And it really shows those recruiters that, one, you're, as a high school student, maybe you're serious about pursuing a career and what you're going to do with your future. It really allows you to not be ignorant I know as a junior, a lot of people I know, a lot of seniors I know they've already applied to colleges. They're already getting their responses back. They already applied for scholarships, and that can be really overwhelming to know that maybe I haven't done all of that. I'm not really caught up. I mean, you may feel overwhelmed with the workload you have with school already, but just educating yourself, even if it's just doing a little research day by day to really find out who you are as a person, what you like, and how that translates into your career, but also thinking about the realities of the field. You have to think about salary, you have to think about the everyday life of a position that you're looking to pursue. And this book specifically, Career Planning for Teens by Seth Hicks, it really, really helps open your eyes into that topic.
Thank you, Imani, for that. And as she was speaking, I dropped a couple of other dates. So if you are a senior or even a junior, you want to get in the SAT, definitely want you to be prepared. You should already have a College Board account, but definitely take a look at that link for the upcoming dates. I would suggest that you take it at least 2 times and be prepared when you take it. I know some people say, well, I'm just going to take it the first time, just take it. Well, no, that's a data point about your performance. So be prepared when you take it. Be prepared when you take it. The College Board offers some free prep, also practice exams that you can leverage. And there's also classes at your school. And then there's also some resources online as well. And we can also have some of the college students that we've utilized in the past to help us with the math preparation. Were you gonna say something, Wendy?
Yeah, and they're also for parents who can afford it or who have interest, you also can pay for SAT and ACT prep. Lord, I can't think of her name. There's a Black woman who has a company here locally. She used to be a high school teacher at Leesville High School. She would kill me if she knew I could not remember her name right now. Any Deltas on the call because she's a Delta. Oh my gosh, I can't think her name to save my life, but I'll come up with her name and we'll share that information. The other thing I will say is we always get caught up on the SAT. I'm going to tell you, we, as brown people, we get much better results with the ACT because the ACT is about stuff you've already covered and experienced. The SAT is more of an extrapolation of who ACT is just a better opportunity. If you can score well on the ACT, a lot of it is just going to be things that you connect with better than the SAT. And they take scores at at all the institutions, at least most of the institutions. The ACT and the SAT are both taken. And I'm just going to say that the data, the results say that brown people, Black people, people of color just have much better results taking the ACT. You can take both if you want, but I'm gonna always lean into if you're gonna take one or the other, I would choose the ACT over the SAT.
So I just put the deadline there for the ACT. The January 5th was the regular registration. So that has passed. So now it'll be late registration. And the test is late registration January 22nd. And the ACT test is February the 10th. And John says it's A+ test prep.
That is correct. Her name is Sheba Low Brown. I couldn't come up with Sheba's name to save my life, but it's Sheba Low Brown. And she's had great results with young people being competitive with getting scholarship money and getting improving their test scores if they didn't do well initially.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna fast forward and kind of go ahead and get a few more things knocked out, and then I'll let you all ask your questions. Here's a book I recommend. It's called The Ultimate Scholarship Book. This is not the only source. There's other ones, and we'll pull together some other ones that have been useful. But I had a friend, her son in March of his senior year had 0 scholarships. With this book and a few other resources, by August, he had $90,000 worth of scholarships. So, and I also know other students who, some of them have been in our chapter, got over $1 million worth combined, meaning that they earned that much. They didn't get all that money, but they had received that amount in awards for the schools that they had applied to and the scholarships. I do have a video on YouTube that I will send you of a conversation with a student from North Carolina A&T and her process for getting $180,000 worth of scholarships. She went to A&T. Her brother did the same thing at Chapel Hill. He had $400,000 worth of scholarships. So really, there's no reason for students to be going to a four-year school accruing debt, especially if you are a minority student. They said they spent time doing it like it was a part-time job. And they had a strategy for either they're going to go for the small ones. I think she said she did about 80 scholarships that she filled out to get the 180. And the student that got the 90, he filled out about 30, and that got him $90,000 worth of scholarships that were renewable. So it is a process, but go ahead.
Understand, because see, I hear people say this, oh, if you're Black, you shouldn't. No, you got to be a certain caliber of student. You have to have a certain kind of grades, and it depends on what school you have gone to and what courses you have taken. All of those things are going to be a factor. So we don't want to lead you to believe that just because you're Black and you apply, that everything is going to be taken care of. We're not operating from a deficit, but we're also operating from a realistic perspective. You need to look like a certain kind of student, or you need to have a strategy to applying for certain types of scholarships. But it needs to be a strategy. It just can't be I'm applying and I'm gonna get it because I'm Black. No, that's not because I'm
exactly. Yes, like if you have a good GPA, 3.5 and up, you've done community service, you are in organizations, you had leadership roles. So
you
what
had
we wanted,
leadership, but you had leadership positions in organizations.
Right. So you're doing the things, you're grooming yourself 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade for an outstanding application. Your rec letters speak to you. People had had enough time to prepare those rec letters. And you are connected with different organizations. You've already started your list. You don't wait till your 12th grade year to start putting that list together. If you are a junior and you're on this call, you should go ahead and start looking for the scholarships and writing down the due dates. A lot of students miss out because they miss the deadlines for those scholarships. If you are a NSBE member, you are a senior, the deadline was January the 5th for our scholarship cycle. That's happening now, and those scholarships are around $5,000 to $7,000 a piece for the NSBE scholarship cycle. All right, so I just wanted to get that out there. I know we gave you a lot of information. I'm going to stop now and see what questions you have, and then I'm going to give you a few announcements about other things going on, and then we'll wrap up. Any questions from anything that was mentioned so far?
Great information, and congratulations to your daughter, Mr. McKinney.
Yeah, thanks, Micah, for sharing that. We might have to have her come talk.
Yeah, she's a teacher right now. She's kind of shy still, so I'll talk to her and see what she thinks.
Yes, we would love to hear from her. That'd be awesome.
Hey, this is Clive.
Hey, Clive.
Quick question for you. I know you're talking about rec letters, and I'm assuming you're going to go over this. When I came through, I didn't need a rec letter. I played sports, so some of this is new or different.
Right.
And with Kaden being in 10th grade, also like you're saying, summer programs or different programs. If from a timing perspective, how do we know where to research programs and what programs to look into?
That's a good question.
Depend on what you want to do, where you want to go to school, what the interests are. It's going to depend on a multitude of things, but we'll walk with you all on that journey.
Okay, right. Yeah, because we'll have a little bit of difference because the way soccer rolls out here, they have some soccer stuff they got to participate in, so we're bouncing between timelines. So definitely trying to be in front of it. So I appreciate it.
Yes, and the reality is sometimes we have to make some hard choices. Sometimes we're gonna miss a week of a sport, or we're not gonna do a thing because if we don't look like we're gonna be scholarship eligible, or we're not gonna play it professionally, we have to make some decisions.
Yep, no, that's definitely understandable. So, but trying to make sure I understand like what a rec letter is versus, you know, being able to understand what type of community service is acceptable. And so as we continue to move the journey, those are things that we're trying, because we wasn't sure if they had to have community service in this state or not. Because we know they had to have it in Virginia, but I don't know about North Carolina.
You talking about to graduate from high school?
Right, correct.
Yeah, Miss Wednesday during the classroom, I hadn't been in the classroom in a hot minute now, but last I knew you did not, it was not a requirement of the state of North Carolina for you to have service.
So I'll just mention really quick. So my kids went to private school and we're in North Carolina. In the private school, they had to volunteer a certain number of hours, but now my son is in a charter school. I haven't heard anything about him needing to volunteer, but I guess we're like a volunteer family. So at our church, like for MLK Day, we'll be volunteering in 2 different places. And so every time I have a little list that I made, and I have the kids write down, you know, when they volunteer and the date, you know, and then, you know, where it was. And with the reference letters, that I'll just mention this really quick because I know we're ready to go. With the reference letters right now, my son is in the Boy Scouts and he's working on his Eagle Scout. So he needs recommendations. So I already know that he can reach out to Dr. Tony. He's been a part of NSBE since 2019. He was a part of, Green Road Activity Center. He was a part of the Black History program. And with the Omegas, they won first prize internationally. That's going to be listed on his resume, and he can reach out to Ms. Mo for a reference there. Also at his school, where the private school where he worked, he volunteered there. So, and then also at the church. So we have Wednesday night Bible study. And anytime I see something like as far as like volunteering with the food bank, our church does that. I always sign the kids up just because I want them to get that volunteer experience. But also, you know, when it comes to, you know, the reference piece, he can reach out to his Bible study teacher and say, hey, you know, can you give me a reference or a character reference regarding whatever? So I hope that's helpful.
So Mr. Courtney, I will say part of this is about cultivating the culture of people that you want to send into the world as well. So even if it's not a requirement, for them to especially because we generationally are dealing with folks that don't necessarily lean into community and village. We want to cultivate that as much as possible. The other thing is helping them to learn that developing those relationships early matter so that you have them when you need them. So for instance, I've been an academic advisor at NC State. I will have a young person who's only known me for a half a second. You're my advisor, baby. I don't know you. We don't have relationship. All I'm gonna be able to tell them is what you got on a resume. I'm not writing your recommendation because we don't have relationship. I just have a role that I'm supposed to fill for you right now. Give me a year, and if you've done the work and we've developed relationship, then I'll more than happily write a recommendation. But so it's about teaching them to develop community and relationship and village so that you have people to referee you because you've worked on relationship development and not just because people show up and ask you in the 11th hour. And they want to have a multitude of people that they can ask from a variety of different, so somebody that they volunteered with, somebody who can speak to them academically, somebody who can speak to their leadership ability, somebody who can speak to them about who they are at their core as a person. We want them to cultivate a variety of people that can speak on who they are and how they move in the world.
Got it. Thank you for sharing.
And Clive, we're a sports family too. My son is he's trying to play every sport he can. So, you know, I get that. But just like Wendy said, sometimes we're like, no, we're going to take this day to work on A, B, or C. You know, we can't do it all.
So I'm going to answer a couple of quick questions too on this Clive, and then we'll move on. But as an example, I'm going to share my screen. So I pulled up here the LinkedIn pages of some of our past officers of the chapter. because I wrote rec letters for each one of these students. Archie was our former vice president. She's a freshman now at Dartmouth College. So 2 years ago, we were getting matriculators kind of started doing some groundwork, but she can go out, like as you can see on her LinkedIn page. They all started these in high school, actually, their LinkedIn pages. They started putting their information out there in high school. These are things that she was actually doing in high school. She had an internship. She had a leadership role. And then some of her skills and honors are down here that she has. And then as you can see, just having the honors and all of that tracked out. But when I had to write rec letters, this is the stuff I already knew. And she had other people lined up. So she started lining these people up actually in 10th grade of who she would who would be writing those rec letters. She was in a robotics team. So that's just one. And then I'm going to show, so this is Jairus. Jairus was the president. He's now at UNC Charlotte. Jairus actually got a full ride, he's a Levine scholar. What we had to do, we wrote rec letters, we did scholarships. We were lining up how his resume and his application was going to look. These were the things that he was doing. We had an internship. He was an intern with the NSBE professionals because we said, well, you need something else to show leadership. So we created that exposure opportunity for him. And then he also did some tutoring. He did this Apple Camp. That was a summer program that he applied to as a result of being in NSBE and knowing about things that he should be doing over the summer. So those things helped him get a full ride to UNC Charlotte. And then I'm going to show Kaylin. Kaylin is going to be graduating in May. Kaylin is at Meredith. She actually did our trends data science camp. She was a junior counselor for that. And that helped her get this data science internship at Cisco. And she was president. I don't know if she has it up here. She should have it up here. I don't see it, but she was president. Maybe it's a little further down. She was
down
actually
down in the Wakefield High School section.
Oh, okay.
Go back up.
Okay.
Where it says Wakefield High School, right there.
Okay. Got it. All right there. So she was our chapter president, the first president that we had. So all of these things we started working on and building over time. And one thing that I asked them to do, and the parents to support, while they were in high school, they started putting it on their LinkedIn page just so they could start collecting it somewhere and building and getting in that mindset of tracking their progress. It made it easy for us to do the rec letters. It made it easy for them to apply, and they even could put the LinkedIn page on their applications and on their rec letters. So that's just 3 stories, but I could say the same thing about several other students that came through our chapter.
And real quick, I'm gonna believe that UNC Charlotte probably was not Jairus's dream school, but they gave him a full ride. It might have been A&T, and it might have been
A&T. It was
but
A&T.
but they didn't offer him a full ride. You got to think about the financial implications, and maybe I get to go to graduate school at that place that I wanted to go to undergrad at if I go and kill it as an undergraduate. Dr. Tony, are we still gonna have them create a space where they're going to start saving their stuff before we jump off tonight?
You know what, since we're getting short on time, we'll do that next time. I know we've covered a lot tonight. The last thing I want to do, because it's also time sensitive, and Clive kind of touched on it, but finding out about those summer programs. This is just an example of what's at NC State, the pre-college page, and I dropped this in the chat, but other colleges in your area may have programs like this, but go ahead out to their pre-college section, and we'll look as well to see what we can find. But if you go here and you look on these different links, you'll see the different programs that some are even before summer. They may just be they call pre-college because they happen throughout the year. So these are opportunities that the student can go ahead and get exposure to different things, different areas of interest. And then they even have a college readiness link on the NC State page that kind of walks you through how to navigate the application process. And they also have STEM here.
And we're going to work on creating a spreadsheet that houses lots of different summer opportunities and categorize them as best we can. But one of the things I want to offer up for those of you who have remote jobs where you have flexibility, I have seen parents get an Airbnb or rent a room, like if it's a day camp and it's not residential. I witnessed a parent, because NC State, I don't know if the engineering camp, it's called the Engineering Place, TEP. I don't know if their link has gone live yet for summer camps, but they offer camp from kindergarten all the way going into your 12th grade year at NC State through the Engineering Place. And the K-12 ones are all day camps. They are not residential. So if you live somewhere and you have a relative in the Triangle or near NC State or somewhere here in Raleigh, maybe you come and stay with a relative, or maybe your kid comes and stays with a relative if that relative can drive them back and forth to the day camp. I've witnessed a parent, she got a room at one of the hotels because she worked remotely, and she walked her kid across the street the first day, and the other days the kid came on her own Monday through Thursday to the camp because her mama could work remotely. So, and this was a Black person. So we have to think about what are the opportunities. We do all of these things for sports and gymnastics and for piano and dance. And I want us to be open to doing these same kinds of things for our academic opportunities to expose our young people. The camps I was speaking about, the engineering place is the program that houses all of the engineering not all of the engineering programs, but most of the summer engineering opportunities at NC State is offered through the engineering place. You can type in the engineering place, NC State, the engineering place, NC State, TEP, and all of this stuff will come up. But again, when I last talked to the ladies that run the engineering place, they were talking as if the link would not be live until like the second or third week, but I don't know that to be sure. If you have young people that are interested in design, the link for the School of Design for NC State is probably already gone live. They have residential and they have day camp. Those fill up fast, but they do offer some scholarship opportunities, especially if you qualify for free and reduced lunch, because a lot of times that will be the indicator of if you are eligible. But don't not ask just simply because you're not eligible for free and reduced lunch. Always ask and then let them tell you no.
Okay, I'm going to wrap up with this. I know we've said a lot. We always have so much we want to share. Just a few quick announcements. As I mentioned, ACE tutoring stands for Academic Concentration for Excellence. That's going to kick off in February. I will send out information about that if your student needs help in school, because we want to make sure you are excelling academically to help you get ready for college or your career. Whatever you do, you need to excel academically. We will have tutors from North Carolina A&T helping with that in February, so you can sign up for that as well if you're interested. We are going to kick off a computer science club. I don't actually have the exact date yet, called the Algorithm. So if you are interested in coding or computer science, this will be the place for you. We do have an event coming up. That's the information on tutoring I just mentioned. Let me see, Garner Road Community Center is going to be having a youth summit this weekend. There is a college and career fair that's going to take place. I know I just saw Mo join. I don't know if she's still on. Miss Mo, you still on?
I don't see her.
Okay, she had joined for a moment. I'm not sure what colleges will be there, but that's this weekend from 10 to 2 p.m. It's in person at Garner Road Community Center in Raleigh if you want to attend that. That will have some colleges there as well. And if I can find that out, I will send that out. That is this Saturday. Next week, in honor of Dr. King, we are going to have Coders for King. You're invited to this. There is a link that you have to fill out so that we'll know you're coming. It is virtual. It's gonna be looking at how we can code for social justice without bias. We're gonna have some guests, some special guests at this, and then there'll be some time for the students to practice their coding skills and continue to keep that up. But we will have a civil rights activist who actually worked with Dr. King. They're actually they would be the same age if Dr. King was alive. He's gonna come and say a few words about working with Dr. King. And that's gonna, like I said, it's free and virtual. K through 12 are invited to that, and parents as well. Also, February the 10th, we have an esports day. If you're interested in game design, this will be a camp that you might be interested in. It is in person. It is in Cary, the Esports Academy, and you do need to sign up if you're interested in going to that as well. February the 17th, there is a college fair in Durham. I'm not familiar with the organization, but it is called Bull City in Black. It is from 12 to 3. They will be focusing on HBCUs. And it is at 904 West Chapel Hill Street in Durham at the Emily K Center. That's the name of the Emily K Center.
And the Emily K Center is named after Mike Krzyzewski's mom.
Oh, okay. Awesome. I did not realize that. Thank you for sharing that, Wendy. All right. I know we shared a lot. So just in summary, and I put this in the chat, profile is complete. Hopefully you've already done that. And this will also be sent out to you. And the profile is what shares a little bit about you. It's kind of like a survey. The next thing would be the bio slide. We want the bio slide. And this will be for our January 23rd meeting. We want to make sure you finish that before you come.
That is an entrance ticket. So just like in school where you have an exit ticket before you leave the room, you have to turn in order to enter this room. If you are a young person, you will have to have an entrance ticket. Your entrance ticket is having completed your bio slide.
All right. And the third thing is we want you to have a college readiness email. I'm going to say Gmail set up. So create a separate Gmail just for your college applications.
With no crazy names.
Right.
You're
One
going to be
that is a professional.
with professional. So
Yeah.
it needs to be professional. Don't put no crazy pookie, none of your nicknames, nothing crazy, nothing provocative, nothing creative. Keep it as simple as possible. And it's going to be an account that you're going to share with your parents. Y'all be surprised at the things that the admissions people say, the email names that they get, and they're like, oh my gosh. Did nobody tell this baby that that's going to be a professional problem?
And then the fourth thing is if you are a senior and you are in need of help, meaning that I don't know what I'm doing, I'm lost, I need help, I need guidance, you're running out of time. So reach out to Miss Wendy at Matriculators at NSBE RTP.org.
Someone sent out in chat, will these slides be sent out so people can review them?
Yes, the slides will be sent out. And also, if you did not register through the Eventbrite, I don't have your email address. I know if you joined and someone forwarded this to you, I don't have your email address. So please send me your email address. If you joined outside of the Eventbrite, if you joined in some other form or fashion, then I may not have it. If you're on our distribution list, I have it. But if someone sent this to you, someone forwarded it to you, you need to send me an email tonight so that I can send you the information and get you looped in. You all will be put on a distribution list just for the matriculators as well. And that's everything. I know we went over just a few minutes. I'm going to stop with that. And if there are a couple of quick questions, we'll stick around and answer those. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you for joining. Thank you for a wonderful session. And if you have some questions, we'll stick around for a few minutes.